Parmenion raced out through the gates and into the noon deserted streets. He did not feel the intensity of the sun on his skin or the pain of his bruises. He did not see the houses as he passed them, or hear the yapping dogs that snapped at his heels. His head was full of the roaring of anguish, and all he could see was his mother's face floating before his mind's eye, soft and smiling, calm and understanding. She was dying. Dying. The word hammered at him over and over, and his vision blurred, yet still he ran. He knew then that he had always known. When the weight fell away from her once beautiful face, when her limbs had become skeletal and her eyes had grown dull, and all the other signs of blood and pain, yet he could not face what he knew and had turned his eyes and his mind away. He came to Leaving Street and cut off through the poorer quarter, cannoning into a fat trader and knocking him from his feet. The man's curses followed him. The doorway of his house was blocked by neighbors standing silently. He pushed his way through them and found Ria sitting by the bedside. The doctor, Astian, was standing in the small courtyard with his back to the room. Parmenion stood in the doorway, his heart pounding as Ria turned to him. "She has gone," said the woman, rising and moving to Parmenion, her plump arms circling him. "There is no more pain." Tears flowed to Parmenion's cheeks as he stared at the slender body on the bed. "She did not wait for me," he whispered. Ria hugged him for a moment and then moved to the door, gently pushing back the neighbors and friends, closing the door on them. Then she returned to the bed and sat, taking Artema's small hand in hers. "Come," she told Parmenion. "Sit by her on the other side. Say farewell." Parmenion stumbled forward and took his mother's right hand, and together they sat in silence for a while. Astian entered, but they did not see him, and he left quietly. "She talked of you at the end," said Ria. "She spoke of her pride. She wanted to wait to see you, to know how you fared." "I won, mother," said Parmenion, gripping the lifeless fingers. "I won before them all." He gazed down at Artema's face. The eyes were closed, the features still. "She looks peaceful," Ria whispered. Parmenion shook his head. He could not see the peace, only the terrible finality of death, the total stillness, the separation. Yet her hand was warm and the fingers supple. How many times had she stroked away his pains or patted his face with these hands? He felt a terrible knotting in his stomach and a swelling in his throat. Tears fell more freely, coursing down his face and splashing against his mother's hand. "She talked of a white horse," said Ria. "She could see it on a hillside. It was coming for her, and she said she was going to ride it all the way back to Macedonia. I do not know if that is a comfort. She also said she could see your father waiting for her." Parmenion could not speak, but reaching out, he touched the skin of his mother's face. "Say goodbye," whispered Ria. "Tell her goodbye." "I can't," sobbed Parmenion. "Not yet. Leave me for a while, please, Ria. I need to prepare I'll come back in a while." She walked to the door and stopped. "I loved her. She was a fine woman and a good friend. I will miss her, Parmenion." There was not an evil thought in her. She deserved better. When he heard the door close, Parmenion felt the floodgates of his grief give way, and he sobbed uncontrollably, his mind awash with images. He could remember his father only dimly as an enormous dark giant moving about the house, but his mother had been with him always. When, as was the Spartan custom, he had been taken at 7 to live in a barracks with other boys, she had wept and held him to her as if his life were in danger. He had sneaked out often, climbing over walls and rooftops to see her. Now he would see her no more. "If you loved me, you'd come back," he said. "You would never have left me." He knew the senselessness of the words, but they were torn from him. He sat with the corpse until the light began to fade. Hearing a door open, he expected Ria's hand upon his shoulder. "I bring your trophy, General," said Xenophon softly. "Cover her face and we will talk in the courtyard. I can't cover her face, protested Parmenion. Xenophon moved to the other side of the bed. She is not here, boy. She is gone. What you see is the cloak that she wore. It is no terrible thing to cover her. His voice was gentle, and Parmenion blinked away his tears and stared up at the Athenian. Tenderly, Parmenion lifted the white sheet over the still face. Let us talk for a while, said Xenophon, leading the boy into the courtyard and sitting on the stone seat. The Athenian now wore a long cloak of blue dyed wool over a white linen tunic and calf-length sandals of the finest leather. Yet he still looked every inch the soldier. He was carrying the sword of Leonidas, which he placed in Parmenion's hands. The youth put it to one side without even looking at it. Xenophon nodded. It will mean more to you in days to come, but let it pass. You are young, Parmenion, and life holds many griefs in store. Yet none will ever touch you like this one. But you are a sensible lad, and you know that all people die. I have spoken to your neighbor about your mother. She was in great pain. I know of her pains. I know of her struggles. I wanted to build something for her, a house. I don't know. But I wanted to make her happy, to give her things she desired. There was a cloth in the market she wanted, edged with gold, a shining cloth to make a dress for a queen, she said, but we could not buy that cloth. I stole it, but she took it back. She had nothing. Xenophon shook his head. You see too little. She had a husband she loved and a son she adored. Do you think she wanted more? Well, yes, she may have. But this is a cruel world, Parmenion. All any man or woman can expect is a little happiness. According to your neighbor, your mother was happy. She knew nothing of your troubles with the other youths. She sang, she laughed, she danced at festivals, and yes, she is dead. She will sing no more. But then neither will she feel pain, nor did she grow old and withered and outlive her son. Why did you come here? Asked the boy. You could have sent that sword. You could have sent the sword. Xenophon smiled. Indeed I could. Come home with me, Parmenion. We will dine and you will tell me of your mother. It is important that we speak of her and send our praises after her. Then the gods will know what a fine woman she was, and will greet her with fine wine and a dress of shining cloth edged with gold. I don't want to leave her, said Parmenion. It is too late. She has already gone. Now they must prepare her for burial, and it is not fitting that a man see a woman's mysteries. Come. Parmenion followed the general out of the house, and they walked in a silence along the leading street and on beyond the market to the larger houses of the nobility. Xenophon's house looked different without the crowds and with the sand pit removed. The scent from the purple flowers on the walls was everywhere, and a servant brought several lamps to light the courtyard. The night was warm, the air heavy, and Xenophon listened as Parmenion told the story of his mother's life. Servants brought watered wine and sweetmeats, and the two men sat together long into the night. At last Xenophon led Parmenion to a small room at the rear of the house. Sleep well, my friend, said the general. Tomorrow we will see to your affairs. Xenophon paused in the doorway. Tell me, young man, he asked suddenly, why did you finish last in the great race? I made a mistake, answered Parmenion. Is it one you regret? Parmenion saw again the old man's face, the despair in his eyes. No, he said. Some things are more important than winning. Try to remember that, the Athenian told him. Tamis sat by the dying fire, watching the fading shadows dance on the white, rough-hewn walls of the small room. The night was silent, save for the dry rustling of leaves as the night wind whispered through the trees. The old woman waited, listening. I was not wrong, she told herself defiantly. A branch clattered against her window as the breeze grew stronger, the fire flickering into a brief blaze, then dying down. She added dry sticks to the flames and pulled a thin shawl around her shoulders. Her eyelids drooped, fatigue washing over her, yet still she sat, her breathing shallow, her heartbeat ragged. As the night deepened, she heard the sounds of a walking horse, the slow, rhythmic thudding of hooves on hard-baked earth. With a sigh, Tamis pushed herself to her feet. gathering up her staff and moving to the open doorway where she stood watching the shadow-haunted trees. The sound was closer now, yet no horse was in sight. Closing the eyes of her body, she opened the eyes of her spirit and saw the tall white stallion cross the clearing to stand before her. It was a huge beast of almost 18 hands, with eyes the color of opals. Tammuz sighed and put aside her shawl, taking up instead a cloak of grey wool, which she fastened to her shoulders with a brooch of turquoise. Leaving the door open, she walked out into the night toward the city, the ghostly horse following behind. Her thoughts were somber as she made her slow way through the nearly deserted market square, her staff tapping against the flagstones. Parmenian's mother had been a good woman, kind and thoughtful. "And you killed her," whispered a voice in her mind. "No, I did not," she said aloud. "You let her die. Is that not the same?" "Many people die. Am I responsible for all deaths?" "You wanted her dead. You wanted the child to suffer alone." "To make him strong, he is the hope of the world. He is the one destined to defy the dark god. He must be a man of power." The voice was stilled, but Tammuz knew she was unconvinced. "You are getting old," she told herself. "There is no voice. You are talking to yourself, and such debates are meaningless." "I speak with the voice of reason," said Tammuz. "She speaks with the voice of the heart." "Is there no place now within you for such a voice? Leave me be. I do what must be done." A group of men were sitting close by in the moonlight, dicing with knuckle bones. Several of them looked up as she passed, one surreptitiously making the sign of the circle to ward off evil. Tammuz smiled at that, then put the men from her mind. Arriving at the house of Parmenion, she closed her eyes, her spirit moving inside, hovering within the death room where Artima lay, swathed in burial linen. But what Tammuz sought was not here, and the sources returned to her body. Warily she walked along the moonlit streets, the stallion following until she stood before the gates of Xenophon's home. Once more her spirit soared, moving through the house and up the stairs to a small room in which Parmenion lay, lost in dreams. There by the bed stood a pale figure, white and ethereal, white and ethereal, like sculptured mist, featureless and glowing. Tammuz felt the overpowering emotions within the room, love and loss and harrowing heartbreak. Parmenion's dreams made him groan aloud, and the figure shimmered. Now Tammuz sensed confusion and pain. A pale arm reached toward the boy but could not touch him. "It is time," whispered Tammuz. "No." The single word hung in the air, not a denial but an entreaty. "He could not see you, even were he awake. Come away, I shall lead you." "Where?" "To a place of rest." The figure turned back to the bed. "My son, he will be a great man. He will save the world from darkness." "My son," said the wraith, as if she had not heard. "You are no longer of his world," said Tammuz. Say your farewells swiftly, for soon it will be dawn." "He seems so lost," whispered the wraith. "I must stay to comfort him." The mist hardened, the features of Artima shining through. She turned to Tammuz. "I know you. You are the seeress." "I am." "Why do you want to take me from my son?" "You are no longer of his world," repeated Tammuz. "You died." "Died? Oh, yes, I remember." Tammuz steeled herself against the grief born of knowledge that emanated from the ghost. "And now I will never hold him again. I cannot bear it." Tammuz swung away from the anguish in Artima's eyes. "Follow me," she commanded, and returned to her body. For a while she stood in silence beyond the gates until at last the ghostly figure moved out into the courtyard. "You say he will be a great man," said Artima, "but will he be happy?" "Yes," lied Tammuz. "Then I must be content. Will I be reunited with his father?" "I cannot say, for where you will ride I cannot go, but I pray it will be as you desire it. Mount the horse, for he alone knows the paths of the dead, and he will carry you safely." The figure of mist flowed to the stallion's back. "Will you look after my son?" asked Artima. "Will you be his friend?" "I will look after him," promised Tammuz. "I will see that he has all he needs to meet his destiny. Now go." Stanley lifted its head and began to walk toward the burial hill. Tamis watched until it was out of sight, then sank back to sit on a marble bench. But will he be happy? The question gnawed at her, changing her mood from sorrow to anger. The strong do not need happiness. He will have glory and fame, and his name will be whispered in awe by men of all nations. Generations will know happiness because of him. Surely that is enough. She glanced up at the window of Parmenian's room. It will have to be enough, Strategos, because it is all I can give you.